Hi, everyone. Just wanted to provide a little bit of explanation about the sounds and and how you might go about discovering those different sounds with your student, and maybe even for yourself, get some clarity about what's going on with those sounds, and then linking it to spelling. So if you were to say the word sin, like don't commit a sin. Let's say sin and hold the final sound. Just hold it at the end. Ready? Sin. Think, feel, and look at what your mouth is doing. Sin. The tip of my tongue is pressing up against the back upper teeth. The back of the top teeth, right? Sin. Now, if I was to say the word sing, like I like to sing, even though I'm not good at it, and I hold that final sound, sing, sing, that's something very different going on there, right? Sing. Here, I can feel the back of my tongue pushing up to the back top of my mouth, okay? Sing. I'm certainly not putting the tip of the tongue to the back of the top teeth anymore. Sin, sing. Okay. So those are two different phonemes in the English language. And, both of those sounds are called nasal sounds, along with and the reason we call them nasal sounds is because the air is actually getting pushed out of our nose for those three sounds, such that if I were to pinch my nose closed, I wouldn't be able to say the sound anymore. Let's start with sin. I'm just trying to still say it, but if I close my nose, can't get it to come out. Sing. I can't make the sound, right? Same with okay. So that, because of the way that because of what our mouths and nose and air needs to do to make those sounds, we already know that can have an effect on the sounds I say around those sounds. My mouth likes to get ready to say the next sound when it's still saying the first sound. So for example, we already know that this happens. For example, if we have the word nap, then we say nap. But if I just switch those first and last phonemes around, I get pan and I get an. I'm not really saying anymore. Why? Because my mouth is getting ready to say the sound as soon as it's done with right? It's not like we say sounds in isolation when we speak. We're blending the sounds together to make a syllable. So that's the difference between why we hear a different sound. That middle sound is different from nap to pan. Okay. So that's what happens also with this thing when we are ending the word with So if I have the word, well, like I had sin or if I had sang, it's the same distortion that happens to that sound. And it can also distort the other vowel sounds as well. So you as a teacher need to, first of all, realize that what's happening with words like sing is that we have really three phonemes. And again, it can be really difficult to perceive those sounds, because just like it is difficult to perceive any sound in the beginning when we work with kids, because we don't think about sound in terms of phonemes. But what can be really helpful is when we connect the sound, the phoneme, with the written form. And I think we need to just always remember that the whole point of doing work with phonemes is that so that we can connect the phoneme to a grapheme. Okay, so like, for example, if we have, when we do it, and then, oops, let me do my background here. Sorry, a minute. Okay, so this is the graphemes that correspond to sin, right? And then if I look at sing, the graphemes that correspond are s-i-ng, S-I-N-G. And that is why we circle that ng. It's a digraph. Okay. We just like any other digraph, we don't have to talk about a letter that's like, it's not that the G is silent or anything like that. Just like when we have the word ship, we don't say that the H is silent or anything like that. We just say that SH is sh. Right? It's not a s. This is not a ng. I don't say sa-ing. It's like impossible to say that. So, okay, that's about sing. Now, then we could, though, also, of course, talk about eventually sync. So if I'm going to say sync, oh boy, I'm going to go through that sound before I get to my k. That's very, very reliable feature of something that happens when we have the k sound at the end. Okay, so now, though, check this out. We might think, having already taught this, we might think that sync is this, right? Maybe. So that's why we have to explain that there's another spelling of the sound. We already know that ng can say right? But now we're going to learn that when the next sound is k, then just an n can sound like So this is think. Okay, so really for coding this word, we have one vowel letter, okay, followed by a consonant cluster. Really, that's NK is a consonant cluster at the end of the final consonant cluster. Okay, so other programs, especially if you've used like Wilson or Foundations, they in others as well, they list these ing, ong, ang, and ung as glued sounds, I think they call them. And I don't know how they code those or whatever, but they would consider those, they consider those like as a unit of sound. So in that sense, when we talk about, and I don't know because I'm not sure what those programs do in terms of tapping sounds like we do, but ing, I think, is how they would do sing, and then S-I-N-G, I'm assuming. So yes, it definitely does take some exploration. This is a phoneme that we don't really think about. When we think about phonemes of English, it's not the most obvious one, but it absolutely does exist. And that exploration of it with your students in terms of what their mouth is actually doing can be very, very helpful for them to hear, and then linking it to actual graphemes. So how you choose to proceed with that is up to you. The deck of cards that you have, if you have the ones from that we've bought, those don't have an NG digraph card, so you can just make one. But you do have a card that has ing, ong, ung, ang, because again, where we bought those, that's the kind of system that they use to teach those. So a couple of options there for you. You need to decide what's going to work best for your student. And yeah, now you have some options. Okay, thanks.